Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I'd like to discuss a brewery that has said that Brexit has reduced their exports by 95%. Of course, there are lots of businesses who have been battered by Brexit. Why pick out this one in particular? Well, is it because it's just the latest to feature prominently in the news? No, the government specifically singled it out as being Brexit ready. A business that, in the government's estimation, was ready for the post-Brexit export market. Just imagine what happened to all those that weren't ready. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, the old dairy brewery in Kent, you may have seen this, it's been thrown around the news a bit. They've said that the Brexit paperwork, customs checks and transport rules have hit their exports badly. 95% worth of badly, in fact. So let's look at the particular issues as reported in the BBC News. First up, asking how to get samples to trade shows. Now, trade shows are obviously very important for persuading customers to buy your products, particularly if you sell to a lot of normal domestic customers, not necessarily huge retailers, although it can include retailers as well at trade shows, obviously. Now, you know, the retailers will go along who are going to stock your product, whether they be large or small. They try out some samples. They go, well, yeah, we think we can do some business here. So then they start negotiating contracts. So if you want to sell to customers in the EU, you need to attend trade shows in the EU. Only, bit of a problem. The documentation required to do this is not impossible, but it can be very daunting, very time consuming, attract heavy fees, and it's different for different countries. Countries inside the single market are all treated the same. That's how the free trade works. But third countries have to default to using the procedures of individual sovereign member states of that single market. And those procedures are not exactly easy to navigate. They're not exactly streamlined. I mean, why would they be? Why would they be? Hardly anywhere in Europe is outside the single market. There's like Belarus and Britain. In point of fact, there are a few parts of Europe not fully part of the single market, like Albania, Montenegro and so on. Small countries that are keen to join and do have some access to the single market, you know, special deals because they intend to join later on anyway, a little bit like Northern Ireland. So in terms of no access at all, you are basically talking Britain and Belarus. That's it. That's the club. Everyone else has easier access than we do. Sending samples directly to potential customers was also cited as an issue. Again, similar thing. Detailed paperwork required, costs involved, expensive transport. The representative talking to the BBC, Ruth Evans, said it can cost £400 to send just 12 bottles of beer to a customer in the EU. This doesn't even address the issue of delays in the delivery. You know, some may have heard of Daniel Lambert, wine merchant, after over a year of explaining how the Brexit process was causing him massive headaches, and he was well up on all the procedures. He knew what to do. He finally relocated to France. Another British business leaving Britain for the EU because that's the larger market with most of the customers. He was just remarking on how he ordered samples from Germany and they arrived at his address in France. No hassle at all. No fees, nothing like that. He ordered them, they arrived. Like it used to be in Britain. Not anymore. But the main point of interest with this brewery in Kent is that it was one of the businesses singled out by the government for promotion. In other words, the sort of business that was worth supporting in the view of the government. The government even used it as a model for other businesses. Oh, this business understands Brexit. They're going to explain to you how they are coping with their exports in the post-Brexit world. You know, they're on top of it. They're on top of their game. They've done their homework. They know what they're doing. A year and a half later, our exports are knackered. What do you mean? You know what you're doing. Yeah, but you see, doesn't matter how much you know. If you've got a big old trade barrier in your way, it doesn't matter that you know there's a big old trade barrier in your way. It's still in your way. You know, this isn't one that didn't know what it was doing. This isn't one that just grew and took advantage of the fact it was in the single market like a lot of businesses and has no idea about how to export. Because when it exported in the single market, it wasn't like exporting at all. It was as easy to send something to Rotterdam as it was to Rochdale. It didn't matter. No, this is one that knew what it was doing. It knew the procedures. It was on top of it. and it still had 95% of its exports knackered. And there's no other way. I mean, our extreme Tory Brexit placed barriers in the way of trade. There's paperwork to be completed that wasn't needed before. There are checks that may need to take place that didn't occur before. There are fees that may be payable now that were not payable before. All of this means more time and more expense. The time taken means delays in getting goods to customers. That makes you unreliable, and those delays can be unpredictable. It's not even a case of you saying it'll take like 6 days to get there when it used to take 3. Oh, that's too long. I'll just get it from someone else. No, it could be unreliable. Usually there's about 13 hours extra delay to get through the border at Kent. That's usual. That's typical. But sometimes it's 50 hours or more. So that means British suppliers to the EU are now very unreliable. It's like it should be there in 6 days. Might take 2 weeks. And that's if there's no problems. If there are problems, it doesn't have to be with your shipment on anything on that lorry. It could be held up for days or even weeks. So our goods are more expensive. They're more unreliable. Some are banned altogether or limited in how much we can export. How exactly is trade supposed to be able to continue unaffected? How? More to the point, how was trade ever supposed to actually improve? How were the prices of food, clothes and energy supposed to come down? All things we import a lot of. How on earth was it supposed to be cheaper for these imports when we're making it harder to trade? I mean, I never did, in 7 years of Brexit debate, ever get to see the working out on how trade was not going to suffer from this. I'm still waiting. Brexiteers go on about how the problems are because we didn't get a real Brexiteer in charge. First of all, Theresa May, well, she wasn't really a believer. Then Boris Johnson, he's not enough of a visionary. Now Liz Truss, she's their standard bearer. She knows the way. She's got it. She's saying all the right things. In a year or two, she'll be dismissed as, well, she was a Remainer, really, wasn't she? Not a sufficient believer in Brexit. And they'll move on to their next Messiah, who will actually turn out to be, you guessed it, just a very naughty Tory. But we will see. But what we won't see is ever the working out, the plan, the flow chart that shows how we quantum tunnel through the trade barriers that maintain our post-Brexit trade. How are we going to get through them? They're there, they're in our way. How do you possibly get through them as if they weren't there? Not possible. Otherwise, they're not doing their job. Brexiteers will continue to resort to either making excuses or telling lies. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.